This week on the podcast, Carrie and I are joined by our friend Curtis, and we are talking all about Disney's Investor Day, all the announcements that came out, and what we're most looking forward to. Stay tuned to find out. Hi, I'm Francine, and you're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast, a podcast where our first topic of conversation will always be Disney. I've been a Disney fan for as long as I can remember, and I'm determined to bring more of that Disney magic into my everyday life. So if you need a little extra pixie dust in your day, you've come to the right place. Thanks so much for listening, and let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hey, Carrie.
Hello.
Hello. We have our friend Curtis with us again this week. Hi, Curtis.
Hi, ladies. How's it going?
Good. We're happy to have you back. It's been a little while since you've been on the podcast with us.
I know. I feel like it's been since the summertime. I think we were talking about the reopening of Disney and all that. Yeah. Now we are 6 months later, and Disney's back full swing here in Orlando.
It's so exciting, and you are heading into your first holiday season as a married man and a permanent Florida resident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had different expectations going into 2020, knowing that, I was going to be moving here. But unfortunately, like everyone else, we've had to evolve and, make good of what's happening right now in the world. But we've managed to go to Disney a few times. We were at Epcot last week and, trying to get in those little Christmas, here and there. Gone to a few resorts. So, just going with that and making some new traditions as long as we go as well.
It's so exciting. And I'm so excited for you that this is the big holiday season, because this is your favorite, right?
Oh yeah. I'm a Christmas baby. My birthday's 2 days before Christmas. So as long as I can remember, I was always, begging my parents to decorate the house for Christmas. And then, as I was able to work, I worked at a very large, corporation that most of their merchandise evolves around Christmas. So then there was that. So yeah, I've always loved Christmas for as long as I can remember.
And you've been collecting stuff for a long time, like the Christmas stuff. Like when did you first start collecting Christmas things that are your own? Because you have your own Christmas collection of things. I
do, yeah. So I actually grew up, my mom would always get me some sort of Christmas decoration. Most of the time it was like a nutcracker from like Pier 1 Imports or, like one of those nicer nutcrackers. So thanks to her, I have a nice collection of that. But then, it wasn't really till 2014 when I actually started working in retail, and I worked at a retail store that sells Christmas stuff 6 months out of the year. So that's really when I started. And, when you're around it all the time, you just want to buy it all. So that's what kind of happened.
So you worked for Christmas decorations, Christmas basically, collectibles.
Yeah, because your house is kind of over the top in decorations.
Yeah, I have garland everywhere. I have a few Christmas trees. I have a Christmas tree dedicated to Harry Potter. I normally have a Christmas tree decorated to Disney, but those decorations are still back in Canada. But yeah, I go all out.
So this year you have a couple of trees and you have certain parts of the house decorated, right?
I do.
So what will you do when you have all of your stuff? Like what is the plus? What's the plus and up what you currently have? Because your Christmas decor in your home is beautiful. Like it's everywhere, but it's like it looks like it's from a magazine. So to me it looks perfect. So what on earth would you add? Like would you do more of it? Like it would be in more rooms, or would you
more trees, more decor in every single room on both levels of the house? I have a lot of knickknacks and stuff that make music and dance and interact with one another. So, a lot more things to play with and light up the house, I guess you would say. Definitely, I can't wait to have my Disney tree back because I missed that. But yeah, definitely just more. I do like to keep it tasteful as much as possible. But it'll just
you mean
be more...
it might be a little more kitschy next time with all of your stuff?
We'll see. We'll see what my husband has to say about that. Because we definitely have different opinions when it comes to what we like when it comes to decor. And I feel like this year we've definitely managed to create something that we both like and both enjoy. So we just got to keep doing that and, keep building on it.
So does he love the holiday decorations as much as you do? Or is one of you sort of more into it than the other one?
I think, as I'm sure you ladies know, being Canadian, we don't really have a holiday after Thanksgiving in October. So we're used to right after Halloween. I mean, we have Halloween, but right after Halloween, we're used to probably decorating a couple days after. That's what I grew up with. Santa Claus parade, usually the second Saturday in November. That's when we started decorating. Whereas here, there's Thanksgiving at the end of November, so a lot of Americans don't start decorating till after that. Well, there's no way I'm spending hundreds of dollars on decorations every year and not decorating until almost the beginning of December.
No. So, that won't do. You must start earlier.
Right. So I did have to twist his arm when it came to that, but that's what happens when you have a Canadian and an American trying to figure out those Christmas traditions together.
That's so fun. And it's so exciting. Yeah. So it's your first year celebrating that. First year as a permanent Florida resident. And that must be a little different with the temperatures and being so close to the parks, so close to Christmas. Like it's so different.
Yeah, I mean, you ladies can see I'm wearing a Spirit jersey. It's been kind of chilly here the last couple of weeks. It's been getting. It has I
think we'll revoke your Canadian citizen card here if you're saying it's chilly in Florida.
I mean, your listeners probably travel, Florida at different times of the year, so some people probably experience the cold. But it can get cold. Like the other day, I was sharing on my social media, we had frost. I had to cover my palm trees and my plants that I had in my backyard.
Oh, you poor thing. You had to cover your palm trees.
But yeah, it's something to get used to. And I think one last thing is I'm not working right now. My husband, he's working. But this is probably going to be the only year that we're not traveling or hosting family because, our family's spread out all over North America, basically. So we're definitely taking that opportunity to do things a little bit different this year as, next year we'll probably be traveling or having family members here.
What a great opportunity. I mean, COVID is awful, but it has offered some great opportunities for people to slow down or do things a little different and for you to settle into your new life there.
Right. And I think with COVID even, I'm sure you ladies might even notice this in Canada. I've been to a few home hardware stores and stuff like that. And all the Christmas decorations are empty. They are we're still a couple weeks away from Christmas and people are just buying and decorating their homes just to make that little bit extra, magic for everyone driving by or, it's just this year everyone's decorating.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio last night when I was driving that they were saying they were talking about certain companies and how their sales are up 20% or 30%, like the companies that provide those types of things, like the outdoor decorations and the artificial trees and all that stuff. Everybody's all in.
Except the bahumbugs. Carrie and
maybe
I.
1 year. Maybe next year, right?
Yeah.
I might just have to fly up there and decorate your home.
I used to always put up a tree, and for our traditions, because my birthday's at early December, I always, when we were growing up, wanted to put the tree up on my birthday weekend or close to my birthday. So I was always at the start of December is when I'd put my tree up, and I used to put a tree up. But with all the cats, even my adult cats sit in the middle of the tree, and you're like, really, you're not a kitten. And so what I do now is I put up a ceramic tree. I have a little ceramic tree, and there's been some years where I haven't done the ceramic tree, but the last couple of years I'm like, Carrie, just put up your ceramic tree. It's a retro white ceramic tree where I put the red and green lights on it. And I was thinking when I used to put up my Christmas tree and I would decorate the house a little bit, I actually put my ceramic tree in my bathroom because I have a really long counter in the bathroom, so I would clear off one area, put everything away, and I'd have my tree glowing. And when people would come over the holidays, my bathroom would be nice and tidy, and they'd have this beautiful tree glowing in my bathroom. So, Curtis, I used to put decorations up all over the place, again, retro Christmas tree in my bathroom. But now that's my main Christmas tree. The cats can still gnaw on the plastic lights, and they will if they get the gumption to do that. My one cat Mittens will definitely chew on them, but that's all I can do. And I don't know that I'll ever not have cats. I guess if I ever had,
Curtis
I know
has
right
a
now.
Cat. now?
I do.
But he behaves.
Yeah. I mean,
it depends on your cat.
I mean, we put our tree up like maybe a week before we decorated it, just so that Teak would kind of get used to it. But he's still gnawing on the garland and But we have the spray that we spray on the branches, and it keeps him away. So
you have to send me the link to that. I might have to buy that for like certain parts of my house. Spray everything.
Yeah. Send me the link. I'll put it in the show notes because I'll bet you there's other people that are like, So it's a safe spray for cats, but they just don't like it. Right.
It's like a cider-based vinegar, I think. So they can consume it and it doesn't do anything to them, but they don't like the smell. So
yeah, I need that.
I was a bad cat dad, and I have like this really expensive Harry Potter tree skirt, and I kept like every morning I'd wake up and there'd be little Christmas things on the tree skirt. I'm like, what is going on? So it turns out we put a camera there. Teak was sleeping underneath the tree at nighttime. So I was a bad cat dad, and I wrapped some empty boxes and I stuck them at the back of the tree so he couldn't sleep under the tree. Nice.
That's what we do with Becky's dogs. My sister's dogs, same thing. They would be underneath that tree and tear it down, quite honestly. So she has decorative boxes that look like gifts. They're just empty boxes. They're storage boxes. They can stay away. And we stuff them under the tree so the dogs can't get there.
And I mean, like, people listening to this podcast, and you ladies as well, like, we collect these ornaments from Disney and theme parks, and they mean stuff to us. So, we want to display them. Like, I know your sister Becky has a beautiful tree full of Disney ornaments, and you want to make sure that the pets aren't breaking them, because a lot of them Disney puts out for a year and then you can't get them again.
Exactly.
So I'm sure a lot of listeners will relate to that.
Yes, and we did I put out on social media for anybody listening to send us. Carrie and I were doing an episode, so the next one is about how we bring some Disney into our holidays, and we've asked people to send in voice recordings so that we can, like, little clips that we can include in the podcast, just about how they bring a little Disney to their holidays. And so we're getting some messages about their holiday traditions, which is kind of fun.
And maybe I'll have to send you some photos of my previous Disney decorations as well as current holiday decorations so you can share those with the listeners, because I'm sure they would be interested to see how we each decorate our homes for Christmas.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Tree. Yeah, Carrie's ceramic tree. We'll put that in.
We'll just put a picture of, like, friends, like an empty wall.
I have nothing. Well, because I decorate at my sister's, and that's where we spend Christmas days. So I used to put up a tree, but I don't have the energy. But this episode, we were going to talk. It's not about
Christmas.
It wasn't even about Christmas, but we had to talk about that
because
Curtis
Curtis is of our next episode.
I'm your little elf. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like, Curtis has amazing Christmas decorations, but we actually wanted to talk this week about.
Wait a minute. How could we know? But we couldn't have Curtis on without talking about Christmas.
No, we couldn't. Like, that would.
So we shouldn't be surprised that we talked a little bit longer with Curtis about Christmas, because, like you said, he is our elf. He's our little Christmas elf. He brings us Christmas joy because we don't.
Because we're the Grinches.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
We are total Grinches in comparison to Curtis, that's for sure. We wanted to talk this week about the Disney Investor Day. So
because we thought we needed a younger perspective.
Well, that's literally, we were talking about that, right? So Disney Investor Day happened when this podcast last week, and really there was so many announcements, so much going on, and we were talking about, and then there was so much that was announced that probably went, I don't want, over my head, or I was like, I don't understand what these things are. And we all have such different perspectives about what was announced. So this is really, they call it Investor Day. It's not their earnings release, though, because their earnings release was in November. This is sort of, like, when I watch it, it's really more about their direct-to-consumer brands and things that they're doing. So Disney Plus, Hulu, like all of those kind of streaming platforms. They talked a little about their results, but really it was like I almost want to say like a 3-hour commercial about everything to come.
It was crazy. I think my husband and I, we actually FaceTimed our friend in the UK, and we kind of did like a little group watching session so we could see each other's reactions because we knew there was tons of announcements coming out.
Oh, what a great idea.
It was like 4 hours of just announcement after announcement. I'm sure, Carrie, you watched it. I'm sure it kind of reminded you of like a D23 panel where you get those big announcements.
Yeah,
for sure. And I don't think they wouldn't regularly do a 4-hour thing like this. Like, I think they needed a vehicle to kind of get some of this information out, right? Like, maybe they would give snippets of things, but I don't think they would regularly do this because they haven't had any. There'd probably be the D23 in Expo in Japan, or there'd be things that, or however, like whatever, Star Wars celebrations and things like that, or wherever where they would give out information.
So they did such a good job selling all this. The stock went up over $20 in a day. Like 13% day over day. That's how well they did packaging this. In the midst of COVID, the Walt Disney Company, with parks that are closed and have been for months, their stock went up over $20 in a day. That is the master of storytelling.
I think it's also like you look at all the other streaming, like the streaming services out there. This is like, every big studio is coming out with a streaming service, right? And Disney knows how to tell their stories. They've been doing it since almost 100 years ago. So they know what they're doing, and they're doing an amazing job. I think they made like over 100 announcements the other day. And like 80% of the announcements are going right to Disney Plus.
It's so I don't like overall watching that. And normally, I don't know whether it's because of COVID. Like normally I would just get the summary. I would never sit and watch like a 3.5 hour presentation. I don't have the attention span for that. But yet I did. And I have to tell you that it came as it was the Disney I needed. So I haven't been to the parks in 11 months. It's killing, it's an ache that I can't explain. But I felt watching that, all of the Disney feel good magic that I feel in the parks, watching those announcements, like how they talked about storytelling, how they referenced Walt, how they talked about all the great things they're doing and how excited they are and the people behind the scenes. Like was it just me? Because I had a lump in my throat at many parts throughout that.
I was very excited. I think, we're also just coming off the first anniversary of Disney Plus, and we knew that it was going to be such a big thing for years to come. But I think that this was like, oh my goodness, like this is going to be huge. Like 86 million subscribers within the first year. Like that's crazy. That's far beyond what they were expecting. So as a Disney fan, like I'm excited because that just means that they're going to continue to invest in Disney Plus, and we're just going to continue to get amazing content, as we learned the other day.
Yeah. Like when you think their original estimate for 2024 was between 60 and 90 million. They're at 86 in the first year.
Well, didn't they had 10 million people sign up on the first day because there's all the crazy Disney folks like us that are like,
well, there's a lot of crazy Disney folks pay double. Like us. Yeah. Well, and they did announce that they're increasing the cost. They did slip that in, that they're increasing the cost a little, but it's for the value that we're getting. I have no issues. I have no issues whatsoever. And it's not just because I'm a Disney fan. I have paid more for less value.
I find for me, I always think like, even with things like with Netflix, for example, like a season of Cobra Kai or a season of Stranger Things, just one of them, to me, I feel I get my value of what I pay annually for that service. So, like if something's really, hey, don't tease me about Cobra Kai.
We're talking about streaming services. I knew you had to slip in Cobra Kai somewhere. I knew it had to happen.
The thing with Disney Plus is the same thing, right? Like there's like even the Imagineering story and some of those little things, like just even if I watched a few of those things that they brought out originally and I hadn't watched anything else, I would have felt I had my value of what I paid annually for that service. Like, and then it just gets better because there's so much stuff. Just go, and it's going to get better because they've announced so many cool things.
Now, we can't go through everything they announced because then it would be an awfully long podcast. And
it'd be a 4-hour podcast.
Right. And people can check it out online. And and I'll link to the video in the show notes, but I wanted to get, what are you guys most excited about? So if we go through all the stuff that they announced and all the things, they're like, what are you excited about? And like, I know I have mine, and which is, as I was going through the list of things I was excited about, was one of the reasons I was like, you know, maybe we need someone with a younger perspective, because because all of my stuff is probably geared to the older listeners. But yeah, so I wanted to hear what you guys think. So Curtis, you're the guest on the show today. Why don't you
want me to start?
Yeah, I want you to start. Carrie, you think that's good?
All right.
Let's let Curtis start, because I think you and I probably have similar.
Yep.
So I have like a top 5, 6 that I could discuss. But I have to say, number 1, when it was announced, we didn't get much information, but Hocus Pocus 2 is officially happening.
Yes, I knew you would be excited about that when I heard it.
When it was announced, and when that logo popped up on the screen with that little bit of, I don't know if it was like teaser music or what, I freaked out. And it's been rumored for a while. Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, not confirmed to be coming back, but they've all said their things, but they've seen the script, they like it, they want to do it. So I'm hoping that they come back. It wouldn't be a sequel without them. So hopefully we'll see them again.
That would be fun. So yeah, I wonder how that would play out. Even if they don't come back to sort of quote unquote star, but they showed up in it, that would be
There's
pretty
no way
cool.
you could have Hocus Pocus 2 without Bette Midler playing Winifred. There's no way.
Hocus Pocus is not, I think I've said before, not my favorite. Maybe part 2 will speak a little more to me. Maybe.
I'm hoping so.
Maybe. What else are you excited about, Curtis?
So number 2 would be the little.
No, I don't.
Little Mermaid. So Disney. So I just want to say a few of these, like my top 6. 5 of them are going to Disney Plus, but Little Mermaid is going to be a theatrical release. This has been they've been working on this for a while. I think pre-COVID, they recorded all the songs and they were getting ready to actually record it. But as COVID has disrupted everything, I don't know when this movie's coming out. They didn't give us a release date. Mm-hmm. And what I'm most excited about is Rob Marshall, who directed Mary Poppins Returns, Into the Woods, is actually coming back to direct this live action remake. So I'm excited about that. And they're going to be using all the original songs. Plus
new
Alan
ones.
Menken is coming back with Lin-Manuel Miranda to write some new songs. So
I knew that would
I don't
be
know.
on your list.
And Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula.
Yeah, I think she's going to be great as Ursula.
Yeah, that's just like a movie that I will be the first one in line to see it when it comes out.
That's definitely that one was sort of a tie for my number 1 for sure. Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Live action. Even though I don't necessarily love the live actions, but that one, because Little Mermaid's always close to my heart, and yeah, that the new songs and the cast, and
it's gonna.
I hope they bring back Jodie Benson somehow. I think that would be cool if she could do a cameo.
I'm sure that
somehow.
she should. They should keep it a secret.
And I'm also really intrigued if I don't know if you remember, but in Mary Poppins Returns, there was like the scene where they went in the bathtub and they were under the water. So I wonder if that was kind of like Rob Marshall's test to see how he would deal with water. Like, because when you think about Little Mermaid, most of the movie takes place underwater. So I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to pull that off.
Oh, I never even thought of that. See, you're so... I don't know, Carrie, about you, but I'm like, yeah, I'm excited about this. And then that's it. I don't think about how they might have tested water here and done all those things. I don't think that through. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that's that one. We don't have a release date, but it will be here soon, I'm sure. So going to my number 3, this one you guys might be excited about, but it's going to be Sister Act 3.
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
I could see you liking that one too. That's definitely...
So Sister Act was actually one of those things that I watched during quarantine. It was one of those things I've heard about, but I never seen it.
You never watched it as a child? See, I thought you would because of your generation. Like I thought you would have said that.
No.
When you said that, I thought, oh, that makes sense, because I bet you Curtis watched that when he was growing up.
No. So it was one of those things. I watched them back to back one night. I loved them. And I know Whoopi has really pushed for a third one. And then this announcement kind of came out of nowhere. So she signed on. She's actually going to be a producer with Tyler Perry, who does a lot of funny stuff. So I can only imagine that it's just going to be an amazing, So another one, number 4 for me would be Pinocchio.
Yes.
Which is going to be a live action remake. They did say Pinocchio is going to be brought to life with CGI, so I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. And Tom Hanks is going to play Geppetto.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm in love. Anything that Tom Hanks touches, I love.
That wouldn't have been on my list, but with the Tom Hanks thing, it was on my list for sure.
Yeah.
And, we saw Tom Hanks bring Walt to life with Saving Mr. Banks. So I could just imagine it's going to be phenomenal. And that's going to be going right to Disney Plus. So. Well,
and for me, for Pinocchio, I want to see what they do with Figaro.
and I mean, they released some of the concept art, so you got to see what Figaro's going to look like. I know. I don't know.
So that's my thing. I'm like, ooh, I can't. There better be lots of Figaro in that, because Tom Hanks or nothing. If there's not a lot of Figaro in there,
Carrie, it's not a cat movie. This is not it's not all about the cat.
Whatever. If Figaro's just in it for 2 seconds as CGI Figaro, I'm gonna be like, no,
you're not gonna be happy with this.
That's it. No, I'll watch it and I'll be upset.
This is like Aristocats 2 with Pinocchio thrown in. If Carrie had her way, that's what it would be. It would be like Aristocats 2, all about Figaro and a little Pinocchio.
What they'll do, what would make me they'll have in the Pinocchio ride, how Figaro's laying in his bed all tucked in, if the whole movie has just they glance over and he's tucked into a bed in the corner and then you don't see him in the rest of the movie, I'm boycotting the movie. I want Figaro. He's cute. He's Minnie Mouse's BFF. All the little kids know all about him. All the little, they know who Figaro is, so he needs to be in the movie. So I'm excited. It actually was on my list because of Tom Hanks and because I was like, ooh, Figaro. Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. So my number 5 would be first ever. They're calling them long-form comedy musical series. We're getting a Princess Tiana series from Disney Animation, and we're also getting a Moana series from Disney Animation. So I kind of put those two together because I feel like they're very similar. They did announce those are both coming out in 2023, and I don't know if you ladies watched the Frozen short on Disney Plus, the making of Frozen.
I might have.
And seeing how they animate and make the story, the fact that they're making a long form series on these two princesses, just the fact that they're doing that and how long it's going to take, and I can't wait. I loved Moana. I saw that in theaters. I loved Tiana. I think they're just going to be amazing. And I hope, they didn't make any announcements, but I hope the cast comes back to reprise their roles in both series. And I can't wait.
I'm excited about that. I love Tiana. Moana, we saw Moana on the beach at the Polynesian as part of the D23 event. I love Moana, but I think Tiana, by far, I'm so excited.
They announced she's going to be a princess of a new land that we've never been introduced before. Her friends are going to come back. Lots of new music, and I'm sure the people who wrote the music from the first movie will come back and write some new music. So I can't wait.
That song, Dig a Little Deeper, is on all my playlists, regardless of whether it's a Disney playlist or not. I love that song.
It's amazing. And then my last one is, I don't know, this is I don't really know her backstory. I've never really watched the Clone Wars, but I'm really excited about the Ahsoka Star Wars series on Disney Plus. It's going to be one of 2 spin-offs from The Mandalorian. So it's going to take place within the same timeline, and they'll kind of, all 3 series will all intertwine, and they're going to end with some big epic finale they announced. But I'm just excited. I know she has such a huge following, and it's kind of the first female Star Wars story. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a good one.
I do have one bonus one.
Ooh.
It's not Disney related, but because Disney now owns Hulu, I grew up watching American Horror Story, which is an anthology series. They announced that they're doing American Horror Stories, which is going to be like a 16-part, 1-hour standalone episode touching base on different horror stories and myths and stuff like that. And all like returning cast from previous seasons of American Horror Story are going to come back and play different characters. So I'm really excited about that.
But as the title suggests, they're like scary.
They are.
Yeah, I've never watched any.
But yeah, these announcements, like there's so many, like you said at the beginning, that, you know, we could talk for hours, and I could talk about so many other ones, but those are definitely like my top ones that I'm looking forward to.
Wow. And see, it's funny, like Carrie, how many of those were on, like, I'm sure some were on your list, and I didn't number it, so I don't know how many I have. I just kind of, but how many were on your list, Carrie? And yet my list has a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I definitely have a bit more. I have a few other things highlighted, but not too much. Like for me, I don't really like. I'll give all those series a chance, but it's maybe our age, and you know, we grew up watching cartoons on Saturday afternoon that were half-hour long. So like the series, I think it's cool that they're doing them, but I'm not necessarily excited about them. Like I'm sure they'll be awesome, and I'll give them a chance, but I don't get too excited about like 20-minute animated series. Like I think it's cool they're doing a Cars one, which I thought was cool too. So yeah, I don't get too excited about those ones. I'm glad they're doing it, and yeah, if they're, maybe it's also from the, you know, we were older generation during the Renaissance, and a Aladdin 2 and a Little Mermaid 2 and a Little Mermaid 3 or whatever, however many they made for us was kind of like direct to video, and we didn't really pay attention to them, and I sort of, maybe I have that kind of baggage when I think about.
Do you think series. it's the binging too? The fact that doesn't bother you?
No, I don't.
See, I grew up on the Disney Channel. They had like a Lilo and Stitch series. They had, I think they had the Little Mermaid series. They had a few like of those series. So like, to me, that kind of brings back those childhood memories of turning on Disney Channel. And I know like they said long form, so I don't know if that's going to be like an hour long episode or what. But what also interests me is like, I like how Disney Plus, they space their episodes out each week. So, you know, it'll be exciting, and I feel like it's going to have like the same quality as like a animated movie. So
no, and I think they will too, and that's why I'll give them a chance, and I'll watch them. But yeah, for me, I just don't get excited about it. Like I didn't watch Disney Channel. Like the Disney Channel came about, and we were already not watching. We watch cartoons on Saturday afternoon and Flintstones at lunchtime. So it's not really our thing. I think I can speak for both me and Fran in our age bracket. You know, we didn't like Rescue Rangers and all that stuff, like all those Disney half-hour shows or whatever they were. We were.
Oh, I watched some of them with my nephew. Like we were big fans of the Gummy Bears. We love the Gummy Bears. But you didn't mention Baymax and Zootopia Plus.
Yeah.
Baymax, I'm okay. Zootopia Plus, like I always think that's a movie they didn't do enough with. They could do so much with Zootopia.
Right, because each of those, like that movie, they introduced like each of like the realms, like there was like the cold and the tropical. But one thing I found interesting when Jennifer announced that is she talked about like they were going to be introduced in like a mini TV show or something. Like, so you think you can dance is going to touch base with like the backup dancers and stuff like that. So I like that they're taking different approaches to each of these stories. Like they're making a series on Baymax. Yes, they're making a series on Moana, but they're also going to be totally different from one another. Yeah,
I'm really excited. I'm excited about that one for sure. Okay, Carrie, what's on your list that Curtis didn't mention?
Well, why don't we? Well, yeah, I guess we could. I thought we could maybe go through our list together.
I think our lists are going to be very similar. So,
let me see. Let me look at my 3 pages of notes that I wrote.
Oh my goodness.
No, I didn't write that many notes. Just
yeah, you did.
It's in a small book. It's a small book, so not full pages. The things that I have highlighted were the Jungle Cruise.
What's your?
Oh, my top one, the one that I got the most excited about.
Yes,
is a tie between probably the Little Mermaid live action and Lightyear.
Really?
Which I was surprised that you didn't. I thought you might say Lightyear too. I don't know why, Curtis. Maybe I'm thinking of another millennial that I'm closer to.
I feel like I have Toy Story fatigue because there's been a lot of it in the last couple of years. And I feel like there's so many other things that that deserve some extra spotlight. But I mean, I don't know if you guys go on Twitter, like you guys go on Twitter, but I don't know if you follow Chris Evans, who's going to be voicing Lightyear. It has nothing to do with the toy. It's like an origin story of Lightyear, the fighter pilot, and what inspired the toy. So they didn't make that clear during the announcement, but afterwards, when that was released, I was very excited about that. But
okay, I'm excited about that now that I know what it is. I actually just thought it was the toy, and I'm like, well, hello, and then there's no Tim Allen. So
right,
yeah. So I was like, no, I'm not interested.
This is like an origin story of like an actual human that inspired the toy.
Oh, now then I'm excited.
Like we have people in our lives that have inspired toys. So this is going to be like kind of a human that's in Andy's world that has inspired a toy line.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited.
Yeah.
So that was it. And so the Little Mermaid live action and Lightyear. But I think I already knew a lot about the Little Mermaid stuff. So I guess I'd probably say Lightyear would be my number one and Little Mermaid would be like my 1B.
Your 1B?
Yeah. For the reasons as Curtis noted, why Little Mermaid is exciting. Pinocchio, I already gave my 2 cents on that because I can't wait to see what they do with Figaro. The Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
And only because when we were at the D23 Expo, I was not impressed with Jungle Cruise. And then when they showed us the tidbits back then, the sneak peeks, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was hating on it 2 minutes ago, and now I'm like, I love the Jungle Cruise.
I love the Rock.
They throw the Rock into everything, right? And then I'm like, the Rock, really, whatever. I was like, so why can't they leave attractions alone? Why, whatever? And then they did. Then the Rock came out, and Emily Blunt came out, or is that who it is? No, is that who's? Yeah,
yeah.
I thought so. I said it, and then I thought, am I saying the wrong thing? And then I was screaming, I love you, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But meanwhile, 2 minutes before, I'm like, they best be leaving this attraction alone. I can't imagine what they're going to do. And then I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the end, because often, what they tell you in the very beginning is not what, when you get the very, very first sneak peeks, what happens in the end isn't always what you get. It's not what they've told you 3 years ago. And in this case, they showed us quite a bit with the Jungle Cruise. So I think I have a good idea.
When you went to the expo, Jungle Cruise was already in post-production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it was actually supposed to come out this past June or July 2020. Mm-hmm. But because of COVID and the movie theaters being closed, they've pushed it to next year because they want it to be like that new franchise, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
We keep seeing this in the parks where original attractions are now inspiring original attractions are now inspiring movie franchises. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the Jungle Cruise, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing film.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Sorry. Neither one of you. I'm so disappointed how far into the podcast we are, and neither one of you have even skimmed over the big announcement.
Indiana Jones?
Hello?
I was saving it for you. I didn't want to steal your thunder. I've been thinking, can I joke about it, or should I just leave it for Fran to have as her number one?
Isn't it so, not only is it another Indiana Jones, it's another Indiana Jones with the man himself.
Yep.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I can't wait.
I have a little, I've never seen them.
Oh, Curtis!
I have a confession. I've never.
Well, you've made Fran watch Hocus Pocus. You better watch Indiana Jones.
If I watched Hocus Pocus, you need to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I think I've seen the first one, but
I
haven't seen them all.
I think you would remember if you'd seen the first one. You have to watch. There is nobody like an Indy. Oh my gosh. there's just nobody like him. He's just, He's going to be 100 years old by the time the movie comes out, but he's still fabulous.
I'll give it a try after
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, after my Christmas movie marathon, I'll give Indiana Jones a try.
Oh, you need to. He's just fabulous.
For sure.
He is.
When they were talking about Indiana Jones at the beginning, I'm excited about Obi-Wan Kenobi too. I think that'll be something to look forward to. I think that'll be very cool.
I don't like all those movies, the ones in the middle, the Star Wars ones in the middle. I don't like them. I never liked them. I saw them once. I took my nephew and we went to a theater on opening night for one of the first ones and lined up. It wasn't in a good neighborhood. We were there at midnight with everybody in their full Star Wars garb. It was very scary. But he wanted to go. But I didn't like any of those movies, but I'm very excited for Ewan McGregor. I love him. I think that's what's going to make it.
I think it'll be great.
It will.
So I'm looking forward to that one, but it's not on my list.
Okay, so what else?
I don't feel that I can, talk about Star Wars in any.
Well, you could.
As a super duper fan, so
yeah.
I like that. I thought it was neat that they're bringing back the Mighty Ducks. That's kind of cool.
Okay, that's on my list. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I think
that's
cool.
one that I just was like, okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I've tried watching the movie. I'm not a fan. I'm
not necessarily a fan either, but I had a nephew, my niece and nephew that would have been there. I was definitely not a Mighty Ducks fan back then, but because it's of that generation, I think it's kind of neat, all those years later, to see what they can do, the humor and making it relevant with the kids nowadays, right? I can imagine how funny it will be and relevant to the kids now, where with the jokes and just how things are with kids, technology, and
I think that's going to be fun. I think that's going to be a fun one.
I'm trying to think.
And I love
Disenchanted. You would have Disenchanted on your list, Fran, right?
Oh, Disenchanted was right up there with Indiana Jones. I loved that. I loved Enchanted, and this just, oh my gosh.
Pretty much all they said in the call was Disenchanted and Amy Adams returns, and everybody
more music than the first one.
Yeah,
they said that as well.
Yeah, and which is funny because me in musicals. Although I can't say that I don't like musicals because so many of the movies I like are musicals. It's just certain ones maybe I don't like. But I loved that movie. I loved all the songs. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And Alan Menken, who wrote the songs for the first movie, he's coming back to write the songs for the second. So
it's so exciting.
It's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. Everything seems so long, so far off, though. So that's the one thing.
But really, it isn't when you think about it.
I know, but I guess this year flew by.
And the good thing is with these being released on Disney Plus, they have they probably have a lot more flexibility as to when they release them. As soon as they finish post production, they don't have to wait till a competitor's movie is out of the theaters or whatnot, right? So. Right.
And they seem to want to keep it going, right? That's how you keep monthly subscriptions is releasing new things every month and showing the value every month. So hopefully
it seems like every Friday there's always something new. So
yeah.
What did you guys think of the Pixar future releases other than Lightyear? Luca?
There was the
Turning Red. Turning red. That one
looks fun.
She gets excited and she turns into a red panda.
I know, that looks a lot of fun. It does.
See, for Pixar, I seem to judge them before I even know anything about them, and then I'll watch them and I'll love them. I remember doing that with Coco, and a few other ones. So I kind of just don't watch any trailers or anything, and I'll just watch it when it comes out. I know Soul, I haven't really watched anything, and that's coming out on Christmas.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I always seem to think that I'm not going to like the Pixar movies, but then I end up liking them and loving them. And
don't you find with Pixar they're like you hear what they're about and you're like, what, and it's kind of confusing. You can't imagine what it will end up being. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, you don't don't really watch a lot of spoilers or whatever. And then when you watch it, you're so amazed and surprised at what it turned into be. Like, I remember seeing Coco, like them telling us about Coco, and I'm like, this sounds so sad. Like, like it sounds like a very sad movie. And I never watched it when it first came out, and when I did, it's like one of my favorites. Like, I love Coco. I love Mama Coco. The music, everything about it. I watch it over and over again. I probably cry every time at the end because I have a thing for grandmas, and it's like, it makes me sad, but I watch it and I love it and I sing along. And I remember thinking, wow, like that seems to me, you know, I know it's about, you know, whatever.
It's not a nice topic.
it's talking about your family that's died, and I know it's about honoring them and remembering them and all that stuff. But I was like,
great.
But I was like, wow. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is on the top of my list. But I really knew nothing about it, and with this, like, a kid turning into a panda, even with Inside Out, right? Like,
Inside
when they talked about that,
yeah.
like, it's inside somebody's, like, the thoughts in somebody's head. Like, what the heck are they gonna do?
It makes no sense. And then you see how it comes together in the movie, and I'm thinking they should make 8 sequels to this of different people's heads.
Yeah.
Inside Out. And even, like, honestly, though, Luca seems sort of like more of a normal storyline, like it's about a boy and his friend or whatever. So then you think, well, there's got to be more to it, because Pixar usually talks about girls that turn into pandas when they get excited. Or
what about Doug Days?
Yeah, that'll be cool.
From Up.
Not bad for a dog.
We're in, like, the whole new era of art. When you think about it, like, they have a new vice president, Pete Docter. I think that's his title. So, you know, there's all these new projects that might not have happened if we had someone else. So I'm excited. I do have to say, I was hoping for an announcement when it came to, at the D23 last year, they announced Monsters at Work, which was supposed to be like a Monsters, Inc. TV series. And we didn't hear anything. So I'm hoping that, you know, no news is good news. So that's I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, hopefully that's in the works, and it's going to be like one of the surprises. I feel like they announce stuff, but then they also want to give you a little surprise every once in a while, like something you forgot about or you weren't expecting or whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, there it is on Disney Plus. Like, maybe that's.
Right.
I think it's a lot of, they also, like, we know with Disney, they tell us when they're ready to tell us too. So then I wonder more, is there something else behind the scenes that's changing or different or whatever? Like, there's been I guess a few things that they've announced that didn't come to fruition where they publicly put it out. There's definitely lots of stuff that's changed over the years. Like, I think The Good Dinosaur changed drastically. I think Inside Out probably changed drastically from the very first snippets when they showed us, like, sketches on a napkin or whatever. But, like, do you think they're playing it extra safe? Like, maybe. There's probably quite a few things that they didn't talk about yesterday or the day before that have been announced before. Like, we were talking before the call about Lizzie McGuire, right? They announced that was a huge thing. Is that officially canceled? Like, do you know?
There's been no confirmation, but I mean, I feel like it was probably supposed to be premiered by now, but who knows?
So
no.
I don't know if they're...
It'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out. And if these things do come to fruition, if they announce little cancellations, sort of, or they just don't say anything. Yeah, and I mean,
like, I don't want to sound greedy because we're getting amazing content, but there's a few things that, you know, I mean, I guess we just got to get used to, things can change overnight.
Yeah.
Well, and I would think, like, if I think of, like, going to the expo and sitting and listening to them do all this stuff, like, they would always talk about the big things, right? The feature length and and all of these little things that they're giving us, all these pluses. Like, that's way, 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 way more than, like, talk about adapting to the times and direct to consumer and doing what they need to do and doing what they need to give us, like, giving us what we need. Because that seems to, like, they've seriously adapted to all of that stuff.
They've
and maybe, who knows,
like, at
Disney
Plus direction.
just opened it, like, that was when they, like, at the last D23, that was the big thing, right? Everybody was signing up for it. So maybe the next D23 would be different. But yeah, like, what they've offered is night and day different to what we were used to them
it's
more
amazing.
stuff.
It's amazing how much they've changed and they've just sort of rolled with all of this COVID stuff going on and changed direction and we're still getting so much great Disney content. Like Disney Plus, it's all happy stuff. It's all good stuff. Although, except you can't seem to get, Carrie's excited about everything, but then you mentioned the dog and the dog show and she's like, yeah, okay.
I'm not happy about everything. I told you I'm not too hot on all these series.
What about the new John Stamos series, A Big Shot? Yeah, that looks really so cool. He's like some big powerful basketball coach, and I don't even like basketball, but I love John Stamos. and then he gets sent to a girls' high school to coach. Yeah. How fantastic is that?
It looks cute.
Yeah, you certainly were not over the moon about that. I was so excited about that. I'm definitely
like generally I don't steer towards like tweeny things. Or series stuff.
What are you talking tweeny things? It's John Stamos. It's like saying, Harrison Ford, like Emilio Estevez. Like those guys are just going to carry these things, right?
Yes, they will.
I'm with Carrie on this one.
So Fran, did you have anything else on your list? Anything that I didn't have?
Well, Big Shot I had.
Okay.
You know the other one, there's this neither one of you talked about, and I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but I don't know what's happened to me in quarantine. I think it started with penguins, but the National Geographic stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, I seriously wrote it I wrote down a watch list when I have that on a different page. I wasn't sure we were talking about it, but the National Geographic channel,
it's going to be over the top.
Shows are amazing.
Like The Secrets of Whales. I don't know why. Maybe it's my penguin, the penguin stuff and now I'm like in the whales, A Real Bug's Life, and then the stuff with Will Smith. So I'm not even a big Will Smith fan, but Welcome to Earth, and it's him doing like different things in the world. Like it's just oh my gosh, it all looks so awesome. And it's all like nature stuff. And I'm not like I'm not hiking. I'm not a nature person. If I can drive there, that's how I get there. But I can now watch nature from my couch in my TV and still love the penguins, the whales, the dolphins, all that stuff from afar. I don't need to go swimming to see them.
See, for me, I feel like, and I had this conversation with my friend that I was FaceTiming, but I feel like National Geographic to me is becoming a little too storytelling. A lot of the stuff they announced were like telling stories, like reminding me a lot of like the Disney nature films.
Yes.
Which when I think of National Geographic, I don't think of that. So that's where I was kind of turned off. But, I'll still give it a try, like especially like the Real Bug's Life and stuff like that. But that's kind of where I was at with those announcements.
Yeah, like I like the Disney nature stories. I think those, I don't know, they just, I learn stuff from them and I don't realize I'm learning. And I know, like, you're sick of hearing about the penguins, but if you haven't watched the penguins on Disney Plus, you got to go watch them. It's like, I want a penguin.
Oh, my goodness. I find for me, like, when it comes to stuff I watch on TV, I'm not the type to just watch something to watch something. So I watch something that comes with a strong recommendation, somebody that knows me, or something that's like maybe I'm out of tune and like this, there's the hottest series on and I'm the last one to find out about it. That's how I watch things, or I watch documentaries. Like I love watching documentaries and anything like that. And I'll turn something like that on because it's a topic that interests me, but I won't just turn on a random thing on any of those channels because I don't want to watch something for like 2.5 hours or 2 hours and realize I didn't like it or whatever. I wasted my time or whatever.
You can turn them off, right?
I know.
Like if you start watching.
For sure. But then you go on to the next one and you go on to the next one. Like, so seriously, like I'm not even joking. Like I don't watch anything. I don't ever randomly go on and just like try to find something to watch. Like I put stuff in my watch list. I ask my sister what she's watching. People say, "Oh, you got to watch this," and then I watch it. So, but when it comes to like that documentary type genre, like if I was gonna randomly look for something, I go straight to the like on Netflix and even on Disney Plus. Like I've watched the odd old movie like that I wanted to rewatch, but I've only watched the new stuff. Like I've only watched the brand new content because, like the Imagineering story and things like that, like that's what I love to watch, and I'm not going to go on and watch like
watch
stuff
the
I've watched. I've watched the Penguins because you told me to. I watched it at least once, maybe twice, because it was funny. But so that's why I was excited about the National Geographic, because it kind of gives me like, I know I can go to, like, if I go to Disney Plus and I want to watch something, you'll scroll forever trying to figure out which movie you want to rewatch, and I just go straight to the National Geographic section if I've already caught up on all of the other new things, like the Pixar Story or Imagineering or whatever.
We also didn't talk about Three Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Neither. See,
I have no idea what that's about.
Oh my gosh. So Three Men and a Baby was really, really long time ago, and I love Tom Selleck, and it's quite funny because it wasn't too long ago, like maybe last month I rewatched it. And I loved that movie when it came out. It was like, it probably came out around the time of like Footloose.
Well, this is,
and it was that kind of genre. Like it was that, it's cheese. It's just cheese.
This is fast forwarding to 2020 where Three Men and a Baby is remade and Zac Efron is the lead.
Exactly.
Zac Efron is our,
but you think they'll bring back like, who was it? It was Tom Hanks and Steve Guttenberg and the other guy from Cheers. I can't remember his name, but they were funny.
Oh, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson. That's it. And so now it's Zac Efron.
Yeah. I wrote that down. I'm like, Three Men and a Baby, Zac Efron.
I think I'm more interested to see what they do with it than I am thinking it's going to be a fantastic movie. Like I'm more thinking, what are they going to remake? Is she all grown up or something? Or is this a new baby?
They're just going to probably retell the story with different people, maybe. Or put a modern swing on it. With all of these ones they're remaking. Like they're doing Cheaper by the Dozen. That's that. If there was any of those ones that are remade that I would be most excited of, would be the Cheaper by the Dozen. I think that'll be really cool. But they're just like, they'll just tell it a different way or tell it the same way, but update it a little bit. I was surprised because I thought Zac Efron was doing maybe I've got the wrong young actor, but I thought he was like doing a lot of stuff on YouTube where he's like traveling the world and like and promoting like, you know,
wasn't he High School Musical dude?
Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
So I was a little like if it's the same one, I was surprised that he was in 3 Men and a Baby because I thought he was like kind of going a different way, but.
Well, I think that was all sort of on my list, but I will say that the three of us are probably in trouble from our very good
That's what I was going to say next. We better talk about
Jamie.
Yeah.
Our friend
Not Jamie. We better talk about Marvel.
No, but our friend Jamie is going to be mad at all three of us if we get all the way through this and none of us say, I'm really excited about all the Marvel stuff.
I wrote it down. I wrote a Marvel thing down that I wanted to bring up.
Isn't that funny that we all know that we all had to have Marvel on our list or else, and not just Jamie, we would be in the doghouse generally with a lot of people, I think.
We would be, but our friend Jamie is like over the top Marvel fan and, she's always yelling at me that I haven't watched them.
She was messaging me during the panel, and she was so excited.
Yeah.
But for me personally, if you don't mind me going first,
go ahead.
Me being the Christmas guy, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. It's not going to be animated. It's going to be like an actual live action holiday special. They said they're going to film it during the filming of the third Guardians of the Galaxy. So I can't wait. And I was also very happy that they announced that they will not be recasting Black Panther.
Yes. I was very happy to hear that too.
Yeah. So those were like my two big takeaways. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I know they are filming the third movie right now, but they didn't really announce anything. But I'm definitely those were my two big takeaways from all the announcements.
I think by default, the Guardians 3 and Guardians Halloween special have to be my favorite because I'm really not in the loop much.
It's a Christmas special.
Oh yeah, Christmas special. I'm not much in the loop with for this franchise, so I think I have to pick that because that's the one I'm most familiar with. But I like the WandaVision. Like WandaVision looks like awesome.
That looks incredible. That I could get into.
So I would say WandaVision. I think just generally Marvel has it together. Like their announcements were awesome. Like all this stuff has been long. Most of the stuff has been long in the works and announced way back when, and then they've been able to work on it. I guess a lot of it is digital and whatever, so it's allowed them to keep working
I just find the Marvel franchise so overwhelming. It's almost like one of those things that if you didn't get on the train at the beginning, like you've missed the train. Like I don't even know where to start. And people are like, well, I can give you a list of the order to watch them in, but it's too much. Like when I see the list, it's like, if I'm not going to watch 35 movies, don't bother.
It's not even the movies. Everything is intertwined. Like even the series, right?
Yeah, everything's going to be intertwined.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know that I have the time to invest to do all 35 or whatever I need to do. Like, I'd love to just watch one and see if I like it. But it's so overwhelming that I'm almost rebelling against it now.
I guess you could watch Avengers Endgame, which is kind of like the finale of Phase 3 of Marvel.
Would I understand it if I haven't watched the other stuff?
I think so. I think you'd get a taste of kind of what's going on. I think if you wanted to start, that's where I would probably start. But I was kind of like those ones. I saw all the movies in the movie theater as they came out, because I think the first movie came out in like 2008. I think was like Iron Man. I think that was the very first one. But yeah, I definitely have lost my touch when it comes to Marvel. I haven't seen everything, but I'm excited. There was a lot of announcements. Like, I think they announced like 10 new shows or something on top of the ones we already knew about.
It's pretty crazy.
And I'm thinking, like, I haven't started the first. So I've got to watch at least one to see, because I feel like it's one of those things that if I watch one and I'm like in love with it, then I'll start watching all the others.
But I think with my theory of like, they're good. Like, generally most of it is really good. It's entertaining. There's a humongous fandom. So it's not like you're going... Yeah. You know what you're getting into. I think it's a time thing at this point.
It's a time thing.
It's not whether we're going to like it or we're whatever. It's the fact that and I know I've had friends that have highlighted the ones you need to watch. Like, you can skip these ones, but these are the ones you need to watch to kind of get into the groove. And I have that list. It's still so and I've watched a few of them, but I think it's a time thing. It's not so much that we're worried that we're not going to like it. It's that, it's and then you feel like a cotton-headed ninny muggin because you're the kid that doesn't know what anybody's talking about.
The cotton-headed ninny muffin?
Muggin, Elf.
I've never heard that one before.
You need to watch Elf. It's like the best Christmas movie ever.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen that. That's a Christmas movie. What? You know me in Christmas.
It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's not one of the Hallmark movies my sister makes me watch.
Elf and Muppets Christmas.
And that's it. That's my Christmas.
That's all you need. That's all you need in your playlist.
Well, I think we did justice to these announcements, don't you? I think we covered a good variety.
I'm glad we invited Curtis.
Me too, because we wouldn't have touched on most of the stuff. We would have been like Mighty Ducks, Enchanted.
We're done.
And what I like about all these announcements is now we can kind of, think like, what are they going to do? Because like Disenchanted, like if it says like Disenchanted, that means it must be like, something bad must happen. So
it's so exciting.
I'm looking forward to.
It's so exciting.
I just have to remember all this stuff, which is why I was glad I kept some better notes this time.
Right. And I will link to the announcements in the show notes so people can go check it out themselves. It's a 3.5 hour presentation that, it's kind of funny. It was called Disney Investor Day. And I did make note that the CFO, so the Chief Financial Officer, didn't start talking until almost 3 hours in to a 3.5 hour presentation. Mm-hmm. So the actual financials only made up 30 minutes. Only Disney can do it that way and bring so much excitement to us all. So it's very cool. And there was a whole bunch of ESPN stuff, but I don't imagine that I have a whole bunch of listeners that are really enthralled with ESPN. Maybe let me know if we've got, ESPN people, but lots of football stuff coming and lots of sports stuff on ESPN.
Yay.
So, yay. Okay. So guys, I think we did it. We did a fantastic job. Yes. And I'm very glad we brought Curtis for this one, but it's that time of the week now again, where you share your pixie dust, something that made you happy, just anything at all. Curtis, as our guest, why don't you go first?
So this week I'm very excited because Shop Disney, this past weekend, they dropped the Walt Disney and Sleeping Beauty Castle Funko Pop, and I managed to get one, and it came yesterday or the day before, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's probably like the best Funko Pop I've ever owned. And
Nice.
as you've probably seen on Fran's post on Pixie Dust Fan, she's also started a collection of pops. So,
Yes, thanks to you.
yes, I'm the culprit. She keeps teasing about it, but I'm the culprit.
That's a great
yeah,
Funko.
It's beautiful. Definitely one I'll have for forever.
Nice. Oh, Carrie, what's your pixie dust this week?
My pixie dust is that it's a silly one because I was struggling this week because at work it's like budget deadlines. There's 2 weeks before the break, and I'm like not doing too much, not going too far, just trying to get all my work done so that I can have a break and get ahead and whatever. So I decided my pixie dust is that last week they had the Bath and Body Works annual candle sale. And
that's a good one.
But I have a reason as to why it's my pixie dust, because I was worried due to the climate of everything in the world that maybe they wouldn't have Candle Day, because Candle Day is the day that you get your candles for 50% off, and those candles are expensive. So I thought, oh my goodness, am I gonna have to stock up on my annual supply of Bath and Body Works candles and only get 25% off or 30% off? Am I really going to get? And I was waiting, and Black Friday came, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna wait because I could probably save $2 more a candle. And yes, they didn't have just Candle Day, they had Candle Weekend. So
Nice.
Candle Weekend came about, and I was able to stock up on my candles for the whole year. I bought a few for a friend. I've got to drop them off at her house. And the reason why I buy the candles is because I burn them in my basement where my litter boxes are.
That's smart.
And I burn them sort of in the basement. And basements, smell like basements too, right? So I will. I have a whole year of trying to keep my basement a little fresher smelling. Not because I burn them anywhere else in my house. That's sad. Seriously, Candle Day so I can burn candles around my cat's litter boxes, so they have the ambiance of cinnamon scents and whatever.
Just for our listeners, you don't leave them unattended, right, Carrie?
That's right. I don't leave them unattended. So.
Well,
So I was excited that I got my candles for the year because they cost like $25 a candle. So when Candle Day, they're like half price. So
nice.
So,
see?
That's it. That's all I got.
But that's good. It made you happy.
It did make me happy, yes. So I guess that's my pixie dust, by definition.
Perfect. There you go.
And what about you, Miss Fran?
So it's funny because we were just talking about how I can't find the time to sit down and watch Marvel movies, but I did find the time last week to find this TV show that I used to watch in the 80s. In the 80s. I don't know, Amazon Prime, I love Disney Plus, but on Amazon Prime, I found there was this show in the 80s called Hunter. And it was a cop show, and it was two cops. It was a female and a male. They were partners. And Dee Dee McCall was like the baddest female cop you've ever seen until Cagney and Lacey came along. And her partner, Hunter, was played by Fred Dreyer. He was a big, tall football player. He was like the coolest cat in town. And my dad and I loved this show. We would watch it together all the time, and we would try to figure out who the bad guy was or the murderer or whatever at the beginning. And I always wanted to be Dee Dee, and I wanted to marry someone like Hunter. And I found this show on Amazon Prime last week, and I sat and watched like 4 episodes in a row, and I was just in heaven. It was like the best thing ever.
I'm going to tell you, you sent me a snip so when you were watching it, you sent me a snip of the screen. And as soon as you sent that snip of the screen, I was like, oh my goodness, I watched that show too. I so remember it. So I watched one of the episodes. And the funniest thing is, so like, what year is that? Like, I was trying to figure out.
It's in the 80s,
in the early 80s, probably?
Yeah.
So I haven't watched, and I can't believe that I was probably allowed to watch it.
Oh, it was
like,
a bit
really
racy. Yeah.
Because it was racy for the time, but I remember watching it, absolutely watching it. And I watched that first episode, and no joke, like haven't watched it since I was probably like 8. Like I knew the music to the like I'm singing along, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like something that I would have never ever in a million years even have it cross my mind again. Yeah. Except for you sent me the screenshot, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I so remember that. And then watch the first episode, and at the end when it's done and it's singing the music, and I knew I could sing. I could sing along to it, and I knew the melody.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And his tagline was, "It works for me." And every time they'd say to him to do something, and he'd go, "Works for me." He was like the coolest cat around. Don't watch it. So don't watch it because it's cheesy. It's not even good. But it's so fabulous. So that was my pixie dust. It was Finding Hunter on TV.
Maybe that was my pixie dust too. You
see, I brought it back for you.
Will I watch another episode? Probably not. But it was very interesting.
There you go. Well, thank you guys so much.
I have no idea.
Curtis, you're going to have to just watch a little one. Watch one episode just to see what we're talking about.
Don't.
Oh my gosh. You guys have been awesome. This has been a great episode. So thank you so much. Curtis, we're going to have you back on again.
Mr. Curtis's promises. Took all summer.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, the best way you can support us is to tell people about it. Share it online and tell your friends and family. We really appreciate the support. Until next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.